Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, taking advantage of a special purchase of 2023 Mazda CX-30s. These are the carbon editions starting at $24,770. You pick the color. Here today, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. We have got the king of price deal. Like always, 2024, come see them today.
Everyone, welcome to the Scoreboard on this beautiful Friday afternoon. 844 Studio 4, get you here right on the air with me. Talk about anything you'd like in the world of sports. We are starting things a little different today. We have a special show today because in segment number 2, we will be talking to someone with Charlotte FC, that being Sean McIntosh, the CEO of fan relations or something like that. He's got an interesting title, and we talk about that title that he has during the interview, so stay tuned for that. But before all that, we're going to skip the high school sports for now, do that later, because I have a guest with me here live in the studio, Patrick Reynolds, again, joining to do some NASCAR talk. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. This was a tough commute this afternoon right here.
I know. I'm glad you got here on time.
Yes.
Yeah.
News drive at 5 and Scoreboard, buckle up.
I mean, it was on your schedule for what, like all of 20 minutes? You got here pretty quick.
You asked, I came, because the Scoreboard, Joe Berg, WSIC, bend over backwards. Love you guys.
Good to hear.
What do you need?
We are going to just chat about Atlanta this
Sounds
weekend.
good.
I can't wait. Because I want to see who the drivers that you would expect to be at the top of the standings be at the bottom of the standings because they wrecked out of both Daytona and Atlanta.
It's going to happen. You're going to have a big shakeup, and I believe the following week is when you will see the first indication of who really has what. That these races count all the same towards the championship. However, when we get to, I think it's Vegas, the third race of the season, that's the meat of the schedule is those downforce tracks you're going to see.
You know, I think I talked about this on Tuesday when you weren't here, but this schedule that NASCAR has put together with the 2 draft tracks right at the beginning, it would be a lot more interesting if we had season-long points because somebody would have to dig themselves out of a 2-race hole rather than it used to just be Daytona. Okay, it's kind of a throwaway.
That was a big part of the series for a lot of years. Some big contenders every year. This was, if you look at the guy that the name in the history books that jumps out at me is Rusty Wallace, who had some vicious crashes down at Daytona. He was taken out of several Daytona 500s in his career, but when you started a season, he was generally considered a big favorite for the championship, as well as a bunch of race wins, and he almost always did that. But frequently in his career, I don't know the stats exactly, but he came out of Daytona stuck out of the top 30. He had to dig himself out of a hole and get back in contention, but you had all year to do it, and then we went to Rockingham and Richmond right after. He was usually a threat to win, and he often won one of those races.
Yeah, and now it's just kind of sad to see that it doesn't matter as much. Like, you can wreck out of 25 races and still make the playoffs and have a chance to win a championship. Doesn't make sense to me, honestly, but...
You can also win 35 races and finish second in the last one and lose the championship.
That one might actually be the worst thing that could happen. Could you imagine the backlash NASCAR would get?
I'd love to see it because I have backlash already, and they complain about NASCAR fans, and then NASCAR, they argue, they complain, they argue, they complain. Matt Crafton did win a Truck Series championship without winning a race, and
Austin Dillon won an Xfinity championship without winning a race.
Ryan Newman finished second in Miami.
He almost won Miami.
He almost won a championship with one top 5 finish all year.
And that was the top 5.
It was just like there's a lot of loop. You can bash the playoffs. You can bash the Latford system. To me, go back, please, for the love of all that is holy. Go back to just season-long points.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have the authority to do that. But we do have the authority to talk about what's coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Xfinity is currently qualifying. Their race is going to be Saturday at 5 o'clock I like that 5 o'clock start because that's going to be a day-to-night Atlanta draft track race.
Yes.
That's going to be fun. NASCAR Cup Series action starts at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Qualifying for that is going to be tomorrow. It's actually going to be a little early, 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's going to matter that they're qualifying that early at a draft track, grip versus an 11 a.m. on track versus a 3 o'clock on track? How much is that going to matter?
No, it's not going to matter. There's a lot that doesn't matter. I mean, when we used to have a lot of practice at Daytona, people would say, well, that doesn't matter. We don't need that much. Now we've gone all the way the other way where there's no practice, and that's not good either.
Opposite.
We need more practice at Daytona, but you don't need hours and hours of it. Atlanta's the same way. You don't need an overkill of practice.
And it's a brand new track.
Pretty
too.
much,
I
yeah.
mean, they just paved this thing, a year and a half ago now, 2 years ago?
Very much a drafting plate track.
Absolutely. So the last time we were here at Atlanta, the Daytona 500 winner from this year actually won the race, William Byron.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have to compete for the win at Atlanta this weekend?
I'll give you a dark horse, and I'm gonna be a Las Vegas rich man on Monday if this comes through. But let me tell you who I put this name down there as the long shot, as the winner. Corey LaJoy.
I was going to say Corey LaJoy.
Corey LaJoy. He
that is
almost
a good
won
idea.
this a couple years ago.
He did.
But before we run out of time tonight in this segment for the race, I want to talk about something that I think will be a big, big impact this weekend.
Let's do it.
Pit Road.
Yes.
Entry onto Pit Road.
I talked about this the other day. How ridiculous is it that there's two separate pit road speed limits?
There's two pit road speed limits. This race, I think at least one, Trucks Xfinity Cup. We always say the cliche, races are won and lost in the pits. There's going to be a pit road penalty or something that impacts the race. At least one of these races, if not all three, will be decided by a pit road penalty, putting someone up into contention or taking a contender out.
And you know what's interesting is I think the way that they have the race laid out, the only chance for a green flag pit cycle is going to be segment 3 of the Cup race on Sunday. I'm pretty sure that every other segment of the weekend is going to have enough fuel to complete the lap. So we're not even going to see green flag stops. From what I remember from last year, that's the way it counted out.
I don't remember that. I read the numbers for the segments of all three series. I believe the second and third segments of the Cup race are both 100 laps. So you could see a green flag stop in segment 2 or 3 of the Cup race. But you're right. I think for a fuel window and the laps that they're getting out of tank, I don't believe Trucks Xfinity Cup, you'll see one in those other segments, but you can still get busted for speeding even under caution.
Yeah, even under caution, it's going to be treacherous. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
but, just having the loss of green flag stops. Another thing that NASCAR has done.
Let's ditch stage racing while we're at it.
Yeah, we should ditch a lot of things while we're at it.
I need to run this thing for a day.
I'm going to go a little different on the prediction. I'm
right.
going to go with a team and a driver that is, cemented as maybe not a legend, but definitely a top driver. Brad Keselowski is going to get his first win with his new team. That's coming up this weekend.
He has not won with RFK yet, has he?
He has not.
Nah.
Busher
Okay.
has. Busher's won 3.
He's He's going to win one this year. Possibly Atlanta. Not a bad pick. I like it. I like it.
I got the 6 car of Keselowski going to victory.
Okay,
lane.
You got the 6. I got the 7. We'll
There we
reconvene
go.
Monday.
Monday or Tuesday. We'll figure out what
Wednesday,
day it is.
something. We'll talk
Someday,
again.
but definitely next week during one day, we'll have Patrick back on. He's
Love
kind of going to be our resident NASCAR guest for
I
the
like
season. Why not, right?
Let's do it. I like it.
Stay tuned for segment number 2 on the scoreboard. We're going to hear from Sean McIntosh with Charlotte FC. Great interview coming up. You're listening to the Scoreboard. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a partly cloudy sky overnight as temperatures dip down into the upper 30s to around 40 for those overnight low temperatures, and chilly air arrives heading into the upcoming weekend. Saturday, not that nice of a day of weather. We'll see extra clouds. The occasional
on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Segment number 2 here today on the Scoreboard. We're going to hold phone calls for now because we have a guest that we're going to hear from. Earlier in the week, had a chance to talk with Charlotte FC's Sean McIntosh, the chief fan officer for Charlotte FC. And honestly, I thought that was an interesting title. I had never heard from it. Here is Sean and the rest of the conversation on Charlotte FC.
Yeah, it's certainly a unique role. You know, my responsibility is to work here with the club, a direct line to our president here on the leadership side to make sure that our fans have a voice in the direction of this club. I work really closely with our supporter groups on, you know, building out the atmosphere that our fans have grown accustomed to loving, you know, inside of the stadium, helping to build out traditions, but really working cross-collaboratively with every department just to make sure, you know, for me, I have a pulse on what our fans are saying and what they want. And, you know, we want to make sure that that shines through in everything that the club does.
And I'm sure things are getting a lot busier for you here as we get closer to game number 1 of the season. Coming up Saturday, February 24th at 7:30. Home game for Charlotte FC against NYCFC. What do we got in store for this? What can fans expect to see when they get to the first game of the season?
Well, our home openers have become the occasion across the Carolinas, and this one will be no different. You know, we broke a record with just shy of 75,000 in year 1, had over 60-something thousand last year, and we expect the same, you know, 60,000 plus for this one. So just from an atmosphere standpoint, you know, fans can expect that incredible raucous crowd. You know, we're really excited because, you know, from a standpoint of what's happening before the match, we've got an incredible activation, a Mint Street Festival taking place right outside of our stadium that's free and open to the public. You don't need a ticket for that. We've got a lot of local vendors out there. And then, you know, for our first 25,000 fans, our friends at Ally are actually going to be providing a really unique match patch. So this patch is going to be worn by our players on their kits, which will be debuting a brand new primary kit on the field that we're super pumped about. And those players are going to be wearing that match. What's cool about this giveaway is it's not just a patch, but there's actually a chip built into it that you can tap your phone on and have access to all sorts of, you know, giveaways, activations throughout the season. You know, first one we'll be giving away a team signed jersey. So it's going to be really cool. We've got a lot of unique and new traditions we're excited about launching. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty incredible atmosphere.
What's your favorite tradition so far that we've started here at Charlotte FC?
So, you know, we've got a lot of great ones. Honestly, my favorite is the one that we dubbed the Peps in. So we play the song called Pep Us right before our first kick, and our fans will turn their back to the field, arm in arm, and bounce up and down together. It's honestly just if you've not witnessed it, you got to make it out to see and be a part of that. But I mentioned we've got some new things that we've been collaborating with our supporters on, and I think there's going to be a really cool new tradition that starts right before second half kick that I'm really pumped about.
Any preview for listeners of the Scoreboard here, or are they going to have to get out to the stadium to figure that one out?
So I'll say somebody in our supporter group may or may not have an electric guitar on their capo stand for this moment.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah. So pretty pumped about what that'll look like.
Absolutely. Game number 1 for Charlotte FC coming up this Saturday, February 24th, right here in Charlotte. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things that I see from when I've been to the games is the supporter section. Whenever there's a Charlotte FC goal, the beer goes flying, and it is just one of my favorite things to witness. I got to get myself into that area, though, one day to just get drenched with beer and really, you know, immerse myself into that Charlotte FC culture.
Yeah, you got to bring a rain jacket for that. We're hoping the goals are flying and that folks are celebrating. But that's a good one. Again, those supporters, man, they make the atmosphere, and that's what makes soccer so special. Is that atmosphere and energy is so driven by the fans, and so we couldn't be more proud of what they bring to the table.
What other kind of events are around the area leading up to game number one are there going to be? Is there anything that fans can get out there on like Friday and start celebrating the start of the season?
Yeah, I think just thinking about match day again, I think one of my favorite traditions is our supporter tailgate. So they're out at 703 McNinch Street, and it's free and open to the public. You've just got to bring your own beverages. But our supporters, all of our different supporter groups, are out at that lot. They've got a ton of great activations, bounce houses for kids. They're grilling out, making food, and it's such an awesome festive environment. And this year for the opener, we're actually working with a vintage kit company. So PFC Vintage is going to be out there selling a ton of retro jerseys from back in the day, from clubs around the world.
Wow.
And so, aside from that, then an hour prior to kickoff, all of those supporters actually march to the stadium to another incredible spectacle where they're playing their music, their drums, and you've got 1,000+ supporters all making their way to the stadium. It's certainly a sight to see, and encourage anybody to go out there and pregame with fans and come on in together.
One more time, where is that going to be located on match day?
So that's going to be at 703 McNinch Street, about a half mile from the stadium. So it's a perfect walk right over. Again, it's free and open to all fans to go out there and enjoy with our supporters.
Game number one, as I said, February 24th. That's this Saturday, and the first 25,000 fans get a little patch for the kit that they're going to be wearing. Are there any other special events, special giveaways throughout the season, or are they still getting that lined up?
Yeah, so if you head on over to charlottefootballclub.com, there's a page there. If you go under tickets or schedule, where we've got all of our promos already listed out for the season. Me personally, I'm a Star Wars nerd, so I love that on May the 4th we've got our Star Wars night. But check that out, and you can't go wrong. We've got a number of great giveaways this year. Tickets for all of our matches, including this one, start at $15. So incredibly affordable. We've got the upper bowl open for this opening match, but if you go and take a look on our schedule online, you'll see all of those promos.
Sean McIntosh joining us from Charlotte FC. He is the chief fan officer in charge of everything fans, getting everything organized over there. I'm going to ask you one quick question about the team itself before I let you go here. In your professional opinion, how bad are we going to beat every other team in the league this year?
Well, look, I think I like our head coach, very optimistic. I mean, there's a sense of calmness. We've seen all of the pundits come out with their annual rankings and thoughts. We've been able to exceed those in the past. So I think we're just excited to kick off and go out there and play, right? Your off season is all about talk, but come Saturday, it's all about putting the hard work to action. So, come on out and see us for yourselves, and we're going to have fun either way.
Yep, talk is over. Now is the time to put your money where your mouth is and get those wins. And I'll tell you what, after the run that Charlotte FC had at the end of last year, I know there's a lot of excitement in the area for this season. Get out there this Saturday to game number one for Charlotte FC against NYC FC. Sean, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be looking forward to following this team throughout the entire season and hopefully throughout some playoff games as well.
That's right. Appreciate having me on anytime, guys.
Sean McIntosh there joining us with Charlotte FC. Man, first game is tomorrow. Get out there and support playing NYC FC. And as you heard, there's going to be some events going on around the stadium before the match starts. I'm excited for the season. Last year we talked a lot about Charlotte FC and the run they had, Leagues Cup getting to the quarterfinals. They made the playoffs this year. Now, granted, they were the last team in, got eliminated early, but still very exciting things for Charlotte FC coming this year as we go through this season. So game number 1 tomorrow right here at home, Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte FC taking on NYCFC. Man, I'll tell you what, I am curious to see what the specialty they have planned to start the second half with a supporter with an electric guitar. I mean, man. And then they have the chair that they do after every single game. The player of the game gets their chair. It's a good atmosphere there at Charlotte FC. Season is here. One of many sports that are kicking off here in the as we get closer to the spring. Not only that, like I said, baseball coming up. We got playoffs for hockey and basketball right around the corner. March Madness is going to be here, so we still got quite a bit going on in the area and around the leagues of the world. We're going to head to our next commercial break here. When we get back, we're going to update you on the local high school sports scene. A couple of basketball games going on today, last day of the conference tournaments. And then yesterday we had some scrimmage baseball games. So we'll get to that, and then we'll get to the NCAA and some news that broke earlier today. You're listening to The Scoreboard. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a partly cloudy sky overnight as temperatures dip down into the upper 30s to around 40 for those overnight low temperatures, and chilly air arrives heading into the upcoming weekend. Saturday, not that nice of a day of weather. We'll see extra clouds, the occasional shower in the afternoon and evening, and 1 or 2 could even produce some small hail for Saturday afternoon and evening. Heading into the second half of the weekend, though, it'll be nice. Sunshine comes back, but still chilly in the low 50s Sunday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-218-6440. 800-218-6440. 800. If you're 65 or older and Medicare is your main source of insurance, pay close attention right now and listen for details on how you may save thousands of dollars on your health care costs. Did you know that Medicare can pay for things like dental visits, home delivery of drugs, even a gym membership? Call us right now and learn how to unlock all your Medicare benefits. Medicare and supplemental plans that we provide can even offer you drug coverage with zero copays and pay for transportation to your doctors. Medicare plans can offer you wonderful money-saving benefits, but you've got to call now. We'll help you get the most out of your Medicare. Make this free, no-obligation call now. Save a ton of money on your health care costs and get the code to unlock all your earned Medicare benefits. Paid for by Senior Choice Plans. 800-508-5774. 800-508-5774. That's 800-508.
In life, we plan for many important things. Weddings, our children's education, retirement. A celebration of life is really no different. Planning and paying for your life celebration in advance will give you and your family valuable peace of mind. We'll help you take care of every detail with professionalism and compassion. We're Bunch Johnson Funeral Home. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
The NASCAR Cup Series season is underway, and the next race will be broadcast right here on WSIC. Don't miss the Ambetter Health 400, Sunday, February 25th at 2 o'clock, right here on WSIC.
Conversations that matter.
I gotta tell you, I'm afraid to even think about the next presidential election.
Led by you.
It's a mockery of American politics.
This is WSIC. News, talk, now.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Look for food prices to move even higher. The U.S. Department of Agriculture just raised its food inflation estimate this month to 2.9% from a year ago, up about 1.5% in January. The USDA says the biggest increases from its previous estimate are for prices on vegetables, non-alcoholic beverages, and eggs. Goldman Sachs economists have pushed back their view on when the Federal Reserve will begin cutting interest rates. They now see the first rate cut in June instead of May, and they expect 4 cuts this year instead of 5. And Google CEO says artificial intelligence can disproportionately help defend against cyber attacks. Speaking at a security conference in Munich, he said the rapid development of AI can impact security threats at scale. The global economy lost an estimated $8 trillion in 2023 due to cybercrime. Stocks end the week mixed on Wall Street. The Dow gained 63 points, the Nasdaq lost 45, the S&P added 2. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It is the second half of the Scoreboard here today. 844 Studio 4 will get you right here on the show. Be a part of the program today. Let me know what's on your mind. What are you watching over the weekend? Because there's going to be quite a bit of things going on. We're going to have hockey, basketball, and baseball. Yes, spring training. Spring training's here. Baseball. Let's see, what else? NASCAR, which we talked about in the first segment, but we already had some things going on last night and today, and that is local high school athletics. Basketball scene has conference tournaments coming to an end. We had some scrimmages in baseball last night. Boy, oh boy, are we moving right along. So here's what took place yesterday, starting out with basketball. Mooresville took on Hickory Ridge in the semifinals for the conference tournament. Unfortunately, Mooresville fell in that game. They lost 57-50 on the road against Hickory Ridge, which means that Hickory Ridge is going to play for the conference title, and their opponent is going to be Lake Norman. Not really a surprise here, in my opinion. I mean, Lake Norman has been the best team in the area all year long. Only 2 losses on the year. One of them coming during the holiday break in the tournament that they had. And then the last game of the regular season against Mooresville, their rival, they lost. But they have made it to the conference championship game here. They'll be playing Hickory Ridge at home. Tip off on that one right around 7:30. And then after this, tomorrow, we get seeding for all basketball tournaments. So when you look at the North Carolina High School Athletic Association website and go to the basketball page, you'll see the date. Tomorrow, yes, that's a Saturday, I understand. But tomorrow, we will have basketball seeding. And then first round begins on Tuesday, not on Monday. Tuesday. So we will preview all the games Monday, Tuesday, and we'll let you know who's moving on. We'll go through the same thing we did it for football, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. we will talk about all of them. That way you know who's performing well in the playoffs. And then after that, baseball, lacrosse, golf, tennis, softball, those are all getting started. We are right around the corner from more sports in the high school realm getting started. And speaking of baseball, we had a scrimmage last night. Now, this happens sometimes. Last night when we were doing the show, I told you there were 2 baseball scrimmages that I found on Max Preps, right? And Max Preps, generally the website people use to keep up with high school athletics. Well, I'm looking at it before the show today, and I go over to North Iredell, who's one of the teams that had a scrimmage, and I'm saying, where's the scrimmage? It's not on the schedule anymore. So if anybody knows if that did happen or did not happen, go ahead and call into the studio here, 844-STUDIO-4. I might be going crazy. That is always a possibility. But I'm like 90% sure that we talked about a North Iredell scrimmage in baseball last night that somehow has disappeared from the schedule. But one scrimmage game that did take place last night was Mooresville against North Lincoln. Yeah, that one did take place. 6-3 final score. Mooresville coming out on top on that one. Looking through the stats here, they're not really entered. Mooresville hasn't entered anything, so we don't really know who the starting pitcher was, who got the win, save, anything like that. I'm going to try to give you as many stats as possible, but it really has to do with who's entering these stats into the website. We'll see. And then after this game, everybody's starting a season next week. Now, not everybody is playing on day number 1 of games, but next week, everybody is going to be playing baseball games, and the season will get started. Mooresville will be at home taking on Forbush at 6:30. Moving on to Lake Norman High School baseball team, their first game is going to be Tuesday, the 27th, against Huff High School, and that one is on the road. Statesville High School's baseball season starts a little bit later in the week next week. We're looking at a Thursday start on the road against Newton Conover. 4:30 start time on that one, a little bit early. North Iredell begins their season Wednesday against Elkin at 7 o'clock. And West Iredell plays Bandies. Now, West Iredell, it seems, is the only team in the area that is actually going to start their season on the day that first games begin. Everybody else has a different day where they're starting their season. But the first day of games is Monday. West Iredell is the only team in the area that actually has a game scheduled for that Monday. They'll be against Bandies High School at home. And then on Tuesday, West Iredell plays again against this school, which is in Lenore. It's Hibriton, the Panthers. I don't know. Lenore, it's not in this area, so we don't concern ourselves with them too much. Non-conference game, obviously. And then last but not least, South Iredell. Their season starts on Tuesday. They take on Oak Grove on the road at 7 o'clock. And we'll keep you updated throughout the year on baseball, what's going on, who's looking good. Same way we did it for football, same way we did it for basketball. You're not going to be losing your high school sports anytime soon. But that does conclude our high school sport talk. I want to get to this news story out of the NCAA because this is kind of a bomb. And we're not going to have time to go through the whole thing before we come up on our commercial. We got about 2.5 minutes before we go to break. But this is the headline. NCAA can't enforce NIL rules after judge grants injunction. A federal judge in Tennessee granted a preliminary injunction on Friday afternoon that prohibits the NCAA from punishing any athletes or boosters for negotiating name, image, and likeness deals during their recruiting process or while they are in the transfer portal. Now, the injunction is not a final ruling on the case, but the judge's decision is likely going to have an immediate and dramatic impact on how NIL deals are used in the recruiting process. This is not final, like I just said, but it is a massive step in the process of the NCAA no longer being an amateur sport. And I know people are not going to like that. And I get it. It should be. But it isn't. They're not student athletes. They're athletes who are going to school to make the school money. That's what it is. And now the players are finally getting a share of all the money that they're bringing into the school. Yeah, I get it. Their tuition is a lot of money, but they are bringing on 10 times the amount to play sports for that school. So they're finally getting the money. And now we are one step closer to college free agency. I'll tell you a little bit more about why I think that's going to be coming up on the next segment. We got one more segment to go on this Friday, getting you ready for the weekend filled with sports. Don't go anywhere because we still have a lot that we have to get to before we leave for the weekend. But this is the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Joe Berg. You can call me up at 844-STUDIO-4. We can talk in the final segment of the show. Otherwise, don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a partly cloudy sky overnight as temperatures dip down into the upper 30s to around 40 for those overnight low temperatures, and chilly air arrives heading into the upcoming weekend. Saturday, not that nice of a day of weather. We'll see extra clouds, the occasional shower in the afternoon and evening. One or two could even produce some small hail for Saturday afternoon and evening. Heading into the second half of the weekend, though, it'll be nice. Sunshine comes back, but still chilly in the low 50s Sunday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. MuralFest is back, April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at muralfest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. The festival is happening in downtown Mooresville. Attendance is free, but there are ticket packages available for purchase. Irish dancers, pipe bands, food and drinks. March 16th, downtown Mooresville. Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Want to attend the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each gives you your chance to win. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd through the 25th. Want to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex? How about a Triceratops? Dinosaur World Live is coming to Kane Center for the Arts Friday, March 29th. That's not the only fun family adventure coming to Kane Center for the Arts. Dinosaur World Live, Friday, March 29th. For tickets and to see the entire spring lineup, visit canearts.org. That's CAINarts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Honey, the heat's off.
Call Duncan Heating and Air Conditioning at 704-872-2431. They offer quality American Standard heating systems. Duncan Heating and Air Conditioning, 704-872-2431.
Thought-provoking conversations and informed perspectives.
It's meant for everyday people to understand, and you don't have to stress about technical terms and stuff. They just say it like a real person.
WSIC News Talk Now.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back to the final segment on this Friday. Man, do we still have quite a bit to get to. I'm going to do my best for you. I always do. I try to get through as much information as I can. We left on the other side of the break talking about this new NCAA ruling handed down by a federal judge in Tennessee. Basically saying that the NCAA is not allowed to punish players or the school for having negotiations regarding NIL when it comes to recruiting or the transfer portal. It sounds an awful lot like free agency. Like players and their agents are going to say, hey, Alabama just offered him $1.5 million. What can you do, Tennessee? That's where we're heading. College athletics is no longer going to be amateur. They are going to get paid by the schools one of these days. And it's only a matter of time. And then we'll lose the amateur status. They'll restructure things. And honestly, I think things will run a lot smoother once that happens. Because all of a sudden, we're going to have people getting paid. The media rights deals are going to be huge. You're going to want to see competition. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we have the 5+7 playoff now. Money. And once the players start getting paid by the schools directly, no longer amateurs. You're going to be getting paid as a professional athlete. They're not student athletes. Even Nick Saban said this. They are no longer student athletes, and if you call them that, you're just kidding yourselves. Because that's not how it works anymore. These are athletes who go to a college. And that's just the way it is. I don't think anybody is really going to complain too much about that, because the sports aren't going to change. As a matter of fact, I really am curious to see how basketball gets affected by this. And we're already seeing it. Caitlin Clark had said in an interview last year that she would come back as many times as she can to Iowa just because she loves it so much. Yeah, I'm sure it helps that you're getting paid. And also with the women's NCAA, little different. You might fade into irrelevancy in the WNBA. At least when you're in college, you have ESPN boosting you up, putting your games on their platform. WNBA, not so much. Not many games getting nationally televised on a yearly basis. But I'm really curious to see how many players no longer decide to be one and done. Look, we haven't talked at all about Bronny James this year at USC. He's a player that probably shouldn't be a one and done. But apparently he's on teams' draft boards for this coming draft over the summer in basketball. I don't know anything, apparently. He's averaging like 6 points a game. Man. Anyway, that is the update in the NCAA NIL situation. Now, we had college basketball last night. We did. The number 3 ranked team in the country, Purdue, beat Rutgers pretty handedly there, 96-68. But then we also had an upset. Washington State took down number 4 Arizona. The 21st ranked team gets a win, 77-74, led by their forward, Jalen Wells. Big win there for Washington State. And I'll tell you what, the seedings and the rankings are going to be very interesting to see what they look like when they come out. Plenty of basketball coming up this weekend. Right now, today, though, there aren't any ranked teams playing, and there's nobody here locally that's playing. It's kind of a weird schedule right now. I mean, we got games. Princeton's playing Harvard, if you're interested in that. Yale's playing Cornell, if you want to watch some Ivy League basketball. I don't know why you would want to put yourself through that, but it is available for you. Tomorrow, though, we have quite a few games. Number 2, Houston is playing number 11, Baylor. That is going to be a very big game. Coming off their loss, Arizona takes on Washington. Duke, ranked 8th, takes on Wake Forest. South Carolina plays Ole Miss. North Carolina is back in action as the 10th ranked team. They play Virginia, who is currently unranked, but don't let that fool you. They have a very good team over there. This is going to be an interesting game and one that I'm going to have an eye on. Number 13, Alabama. Number 17, Kentucky. Boy, oh boy, how Kentucky has fallen from grace. They really have. They're like 500 in their last 8 games or something like that. I don't have it right in front of me here, but they have really fallen off lately. Also, you got the number 1 ranked team, UConn, taking on Villanova. Number 5, Tennessee against Texas A&M. And, plenty of other games to go around. Saturday is going to be a day packed full of college basketball. Now, you can continue watching college basketball into Sunday, but we'd much rather you listen to the NASCAR Cup Series, which will be broadcast right here on WSIC, thanks to the very hard work by our backdoor engineers, Tim and Frank. They worked real hard to get this done. All kind of backdoor nonsense that I don't know anything about, but they got it figured out. We will have the Atlanta race right here on WSIC on Sunday. So, tune into that if you're not looking for college basketball. Also, like I said, a reminder, as we talked to Sean McIntosh, this is a big reminder, Charlotte FC, first game of the season tomorrow, 7:30. It's going to be right here in Charlotte. Make sure you take a look at that. Man, what are the Hornets doing? Let's just run through everything that I have on my list here. What are the Hornets doing? They're winning. The Hornets are on a 4-game winning streak. What? They beat Utah, which is like, okay, whatever. They're Utah, but still, 4-game winning streak. This is a team that should be losing. You just traded away your best players. Lose. Get a better draft pick. Not that the Hornets would get any luck in the lottery anyway, because, we've kind of been very unlucky in that sense for quite a while. Anyway, Charlotte Hornets, updated record for you is 14-41. Whoo! Not very good. Now, this is my thing about basketball, especially with the play-in tournament. I listen to some of the national news about basketball and some, like Stephen A. Smith, I like, and they are having legitimate discussions over who has a better chance to make it to the NBA Finals this year, because it is a possibility, and they're still favorites, the Warriors or the Lakers. Right now, the Lakers are the 9th ranked team in the West, and the Warriors are 10th. Lakers are 30-27, Golden State 28-26. These aren't records that would show you that they could win a championship, but it's the NBA, and as we've come to learn, the regular season really doesn't matter. Make the dance and see what happens. That's what matters in the NBA now. And they're trying to make the season mean more. They had the in-season tournament. I don't know how many people actually cared that much, but we did see the Lakers take it home. And they won that. So, by the way, how many in-season tournaments did Michael Jordan win? Huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. Just a little bit of a joke there. Also last night, man, the Carolina Hurricanes. Big win. Big win indeed. A shutout for Kochekov. And, they were outplayed. They really were. Panthers put up 45 shots, but Sebastian Aho getting a goal with 19 seconds left in the game. We've had 2 of these this month where the Hurricanes were tied throughout first 3 periods and got a late goal to get the win. They did it against the Devils, but they won in overtime, and that was another 1-0 final. The Rangers also won last night against the Devils. So when we look at the standings, Carolina did not put a dent in that gap. They are still 6 points behind the Rangers, but now they are 6 points ahead of the Philadelphia Flyers. They are putting a little bit of a gap here in between them and the rest of the Metro. Final thoughts here. Let's see. On this day in sports history, just a few years ago, actually, Tiger Woods on this day crashed his car driving south of Los Angeles. He injured both of his legs. That was 3 years ago on this day. Also on this day, the 56th running of the Daytona 500, snapping a 55-race winless streak. The winner was Dale Earnhardt Jr., taking home his second Great American Race. And if I recall correctly, the thing that was interesting about that 500 is with like 5 to go, Jr. got this big piece of debris covering the grill, which basically made it so that he was kind of drafting the whole time because the engine was, getting hot. All that technical stuff. And he ended up staying out in front and winning that 500. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in this week and today. Special thanks to Charlotte FC for letting us talk to Sean McIntosh. Game number 1 tomorrow against NYCFC. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, everyone.